Boom. Okay. Seems like we're ready to get underway. Yeah, 17 drivers lined up for today's race here in Australia. It's gonna be an interesting one. Some new faces compared to the previous race that we had in Hungary. What an exciting race Hungary was. I think probably one of the most exciting races I've watched for for a while. So just to take you through the driver lineup, let me just quickly see if I can maybe just alter the settings here for the sound. Okay, that didn't make too much of a difference, but anyway, just to take us through the grid lineup for today. We've got James Askew in the Ferrari. He had a very good race in Hungary last time out, so we'll be looking to continue on that performance here in Q1. Then we've got Nels in the Haas. Nels did have an unfortunate race in Hungary last time out, but he'll be looking to redeem himself. Then we've got Cragleton in the Mercedes. What an absolute story from Cragleton in the previous race. Absolute. I don't even know how to put it in words, but any case, then we've got F1 Pro and Benji Bucket. So Benji Bucket's first feature here in Division 1 tonight. He'll be replacing the co-owner of All Elite Racing, Tyler, who was unfortunate to miss the race today. So these two McLarens will definitely be looking to rack up the points tonight. And then we've got MJB in the Sauber. We've got Will Askew in the Racing Bull, also the race winner in Hungary last time out. So Will definitely be looking to continue on his form and his performance. Will has really been flying lately, so keep an eye out for Will. And then his teammate Ain 54, so that's a very strong lineup for the Racing Bulls tonight. And then we've got Zach Zeek in the Mercedes, also a contender, always someone to keep an eye out for. Then we've got Thomas. Thomas was incredibly unfortunate last time out. He was moving up the field, was able to get rid of Relics, and then the next moment Thomas got crashed out of the race. It's a pretty sensitive object here at AER, so I don't think I should mention what happened. Feel free to check the previous video of this division to find out for yourself. It was quite spectacular to watch. So that's F1 Pro with a 116.4. Not as quick as I've expected for him to go, but I mean it is his first run out, so definitely some space to improve on that. And then we've got Benji Bucket in 117.1, also something that he can improve on, so expect the times to be much faster here in Q1. There we go, we already got a 115.7 in Relics, also has the capacity to go even faster. 116.2 from AN54 Gaming. And then we've got the onboard view here for Thomas. Before I carry on with the introduction of the grid today, Thomas here in the Red Bull will definitely be looking to redeem himself and collect himself a victory tonight. So let's drive on board here with Thomas. Wonderful exit there, going into the final sector of this lap. We'll be looking to brake quite late here and then find the throttle for a perfect corner exit, and then the final 2 corners of this track before we find out if Thomas will be on provisional pole or not. So let's have a look, let's see what the time will look like for Thomas. And Thomas collects a time of 1:16.1, so that's definitely competitive, but I do expect him to go a bit faster. Let's just get the track map enabled for everybody, just to more or less idea. Okay, so it does seem like Cragleton is on a hot lap at the moment. Let's see what Cragleton can come up with. It doesn't look too fast at this moment, but I can be wrong. This sorry, this straight is a bit, and it's a 1:15.5. Look at me teasing the fact that Cragleton might not record a fast time, but there you go, he's on provisional pole. So the Mercedes in the form of Cragleton is on pole position provisionally. So yet to register any lap time, we've got Nels, who is in the pit lane at the moment. I'm assuming not being able to record a legal lap time. And then we've got Zach Zeke in the Mercedes, Ellis Phillips with the Williams, Dansby in the Red Bull, and Apex Glide also in the Williams. Apex Glide had a good race last time out in Hungary, so he'll be looking to continue on that performance, as we have a caution 3 in sector 3. Caution 3, look at me. My mind has been boggling the entire day, so I do apologize for any commentary mistakes that I've made. It does look like we've got a Sauber on the track here, and it is MJB. Not quite sure if he has damage, it doesn't look like it. But everybody in the pits at the moment, we've got Will, the race winner in Hungary, on his flying lap. It does look like he might record a mid 1:16 here if all goes well, and no, it's a lot slower than that. A 1:17.4. Will definitely not be happy with that situation, but I mean, I do think he will be able to improve on that. Will has been in great form, as I've mentioned. As well, on board here with Benji. Benji will be looking to dip his nose below the mid 1:16s. He does have the abilities to do so. So we're on board here with Benji. Just a recap, so far almost halfway through the session, we've got Cragleton in the Mercedes on provisional pole with a 1:15.599. We've got Relics in the Aston Martin with a 1:15.7. And then we've got Thomas in the Red Bull with a 1:16.1. And I'm not quite sure. Okay, never mind. Benji was on the outlap. I've been sleeping again. Just making way very neat and nicely for the drivers on their flying laps. But we'll be driving on board here with Benji, because Benji has been finding the rhythm of the new game recently. He struggled a bit in the beginning, pre-patch, but post-patch everything started falling into place. So we'll be driving on board here with Benji. I do expect him to do a 1:16.5 at least with this lap, and maybe put himself in the conversation there for top 5 start for the race. Does get a perfect late braking entry there into the corner, and then a good exit, trying to maneuver his way through the traffic. He is 2.5 tenths up on his previous lap, so at the moment Benji is looking provisionally for 1:16.9. Let's just have a look here with sector 2 what his situation will look like. He's on 3.5 tenths now, so definitely been improving all around the track. So now it's gonna depend. It was also the fastest second sector, so that just shows you the ability that Benji has. As Relics pips Cragleton for provisional pole with 7 thousandths of a second. But here we've got Benji trying to put together the perfect lap possibly for him. Will he be able to pop below 116 here? And it's a 116.2, wonderful lap from Benji, well done. That puts him in P5 and F1 Pro will be in P6 provisionally. So we've got 8 minutes left of the lap. Let's maybe just have a look on which drivers are on flying laps. We've got Ryan in the Alpine. Ryan also a driver that's got the ability to dip below the 116, the 117s. Sorry. I think all the drivers here have the ability to pop below the 116s. It's just a matter of having the self-belief to do so. And then, as you can see, Ryan with the 169 in the Alpine, so he'll most probably be happy with that. But the topic of the qualifying session so far is Will Askew in the Racing Bull. Just to make mention of the fact that Will is my McLaren partner for the podium division, so there's always that little biasm for Will to perform as well as he can. But he's currently in P10 with a 117.4. With the caliber driver that Will is, I do think it's possible for him to go at least a second faster, if not even faster than that. So he definitely has the ability to do so. It's just going to depend on if he's got that confidence with the car and with the setup that he has for the race. We drive on board here with Thomas. So Thomas here will be looking to have a sniff here at provisional pole with Relics, of course, popping Cragleton with 7 thousandths of a second. That doesn't get as close as that. We've got the 4 last drivers on the provisional grid on their outlaps. As we jump on board here with Thomas, it does look like Cragleton is ahead of him. Relatively far ahead of him, but it does look like he slowed down a bit. Not sure if that maybe was due to track limits, but already 2 tenths up for Thomas, and he's got an invalidated lap, so that's not going to count. He will have to reset on that one. I apologize for coughing so much. I've been battling with the illness the past few days, but luckily feeling much better. So Cragleton will probably look to start his flying lap right now, and now he'll be jumping into the pit lane. Let's see who is also on a fast lap. It does look like Thomas is going for it. Not quite sure why, but yeah, he goes into the pit lane. So my bad. We've got F1 Pro here on the out lap. Let's maybe just jump on board here with the other drivers. Apex Glide here already 5 tenths up on his previous time, down to 3.5 tenths. So let's see what the Williams driver can deliver here. Behind him, I believe it's Boss Membrane also gonna start his busy with his flying lap, so we'll jump to him in a moment, as the rest of the drivers are either in the pits or busy with their out laps. But we've got Apex Glide here coming to the line, and he's on a 117.8, same time basically as his teammate, so that's definitely the perfect lap for him. And then we've got Boss Membrane here, about a tenth up on his previous time of 130, so I'm not quite sure if Boss Membrane is possibly struggling a bit. It does look like he's trying to fight himself and fight the car. It's a 117.7, so a wonderful time there from Boss Membrane. He will feel like he has got a lot more than that in his Arsenal. So then we're on board here with F1 Pro. He does have the challenge of his teammate Benji, who's 2 tenths faster than him. So F1 Pro will be looking to improve on his time, as he's only 300ths of a second up on his previous lap time, but we'll see if he can manage to pull back those 2 tenths that he was slower on the previous lap. So F1 Pro rounding off his flying lap. We'll see if he's got enough time to maybe put in another lap, but I really doubt it, as Relics records a 1:15.1. Insane time, and a 1:15.8 from F1 Pro. Welcome to the party, F1 Pro. That's a wonderful time from the McLaren driver. I think he'll be very, very, very pleased with himself. But I mean, the topic at the moment is Relics on a 1:15.1. That's insanely fast. The likes of Cragleton and Thomas has got their work cut out for them. Thomas is currently in the pit lane, and it does look like he might not be coming out. I might be wrong. It does look like there's a Red Bull driver driving out there, and it is Thomas. So Thomas will be putting in a shift for the final lap. As we're on board here with Zach Zeke, as it does look like he is on his flying lap at the moment. The Mercedes driver will be looking to keep touch with his teammate Cragleton. Drive on board here with Zach. Bit of a slow corner there, but keeps a nice control of his car, but it does look like he's slowing down for the cars behind him. Doesn't have DRS open, so I believe he might be looking to reset himself, as we've got a retirement in Dunsby for the Red Bull. So Zach Zeke will need to hustle, because he will be looking to get his flying lap in the next few moments, as he's got to watch out. There's 2 drivers behind him. Not quite sure. Apologies. But it does look like Zach Zeke will be going now, as Cragleton records a 1:15.2. So not quite good enough for Cragleton, and I don't think he will have enough grip or time to deliver another time like that. So it does look like Relics might be walking away with the pole position, but Zach Zeke will be looking to improve on his 1:16.5. I mean, you've got F1 Pro who's recorded a 1:16.4, and all of a sudden 6 tenths he dropped. So I mean, it is possible for Zach Zeke to put his head into the conversation, but he is 300ths of a second slower at the moment. So he's got some work to do here in the middle to final sector of the lap. Zach Zeke catching a nice slipstream from his teammate there. Might that help the Mercedes driver to finish off his time, as AN54 records a 1:15.8, Benji records a 1:15.9, pushing Thomas down to 5th position, as Thomas will start in 5th. 1:16.1 from Zach Zeke, so he does improve on his time, but he ends in P7. Ryan Air 1:16.9, NJB improves on his time with a 1:16.6, putting him in provisional 8th position. As we have a look here, Ellis not on a lap. Apex Glide might be onto something here. Oh, and it just improves by 2.5 tenths. So that looks like the conclusion of this qualifying session, everybody. So wonderful 2 laps from Relics and Cragleton. I think these 2 will be keeping us entertained throughout the season. But a 1:15.1 wonderful lap from Relics. I think Cragleton will be frustrated, as a 1:15.2 is incredibly fast. So pat on the shoulders for those 2 drivers, and then a pat on the shoulder for F1 Pro as well. starting on the second row with a 1:15.8. The shock of the day, the shocks of the day at least, is the fact that we do not see Will Askew or Thomas on the front two rows. So that's definitely something that will keep us entertained for this race. But that is the summary of the qualifying session, everybody. Relics taking pole position with Cragleton and F1 Pro rounding off. Just having a look here in the chats for my channel. Tyler, full of jokes this evening. Telling Benji to take care of his car while he's out of the session. So Benji, of course, promising Tyler that his car will be ending into the wall. I highly doubt that will be the case, but you never know with Benji. So while we wait for the grid to set itself, I'm not quite sure whether there will be a formation lap. I do believe there will be, so that will give us sufficient time to summarize the race and the grid for you guys. It does look like it's dry conditions. I did not see the weather report myself, so it is anybody's question to answer whether there will be rain involved today or not. It does look like it's confirmed that it will be a dry race. I do have a serious cough on me today, but I mean, that's why we're men. We deal with things like this, if I can make a joke like that. So it does look like we've got a formation lap, so that's absolutely fantastic. We do have the opportunity to introduce the viewers of the grid that is lined up for us today. So we've got Relics on pole position, which is what a wonderful lap that he's put in. So absolute hats off to Relics for that qualifying, but as well as Cragleton, he will be frustrated for getting only second position with basically a tenth of a second But in any case, we've got Relics who will be teammate-less for this race, so he will be doing all the carrying when it comes to the constructors race. But we do have Cragleton and Zach in the Mercedes positioned in P2 and P7, so that will be some point hunting for the Mercedes team. And that then we've got F1 Pro and Benji in the McLaren, so I do see that the co-owner of AR, Tyler, is putting a lot of pressure on Benji to finish this McLaren as high as possible. Is a very strong team in the form of F1 Pro and Tyler. Benji, I think, is the perfect successor in the absence of Tyler. As I've been explaining for too long, we do have the grid lining up already. So to quickly run you through the teams, we've got AN54 Gaming and Will Askew in the Racing Bulls in 4th and 12th respectively. Thomas and Dunsby in the Red Bulls 5th and 11th. And then we've got MJB and Boss Membrane in the Sauber. We've got Ryan in the Alpine on his own. Jocks, I believe, and Nels in the Haas. And then James in the Ferrari, Alice Phillips and Apex Glide in the Williams. I do believe I did cover everybody, as we are ready for lights off. And we are underway, and Relics does get a good start, and Cragleton slots right behind him, so wonderful start, no pun. And just as I've mentioned that, it does look like there was an incident between F1 Pro and possibly Thomas, possible dive from Thomas to get ahead of the McLaren driver. Zach got on the tail of F1 Pro, and then we've got Benji Bucket right on the tail of Zach. So that's absolutely wonderful racing from 4th to 7th position. It does look like we've got a drama-free start of the race so far, so that is definitely a positive thing compared to Hungary. I do see the questions being asked about what the predictions are for this race. So as I've summed up the race in Hungary, it does look like Thomas has extremely good race pace. So I will not put it past Thomas to possibly grab the win here today, but Relics is also a very neat and tidy driver, so I do think it will probably be between Relics and Thomas. But I do also think that I might be underestimating Cragleton. Cragleton is a superb driver, as he's already on the tail of Relics. So that will be my podium predictions. Depending on the order, I'm not quite sure. Relics might be the winner for the race today, as Cragleton records the fastest per sector. But if I had to give my predictions based on the gut feeling I have, I do think Thomas might be winning this race, but he is being overtaken by AN54, and Cragleton overtakes Relics for first position. So as you can see right there already, the standards of these drivers are just impeccable to watch. So AN54 absolutely rushing through, so AN54 obviously having a say about who's grabbing the podium positions today. So he obviously overtook Thomas, my shout for the race win today. But I definitely agree with Tyler, the standard of this division is extremely high. If I look at drivers that I normally race against, I do race against F1 Pro quite a lot. So I had a few tussles with Benji. Will Askew is my teammate in the podium division as well. So just by looking the positioning at those drivers in this specific race, and not all the drivers are even competing today. You've got the likes of Oliver and Tyler, of course, that is not participating today. So I mean, if I had to jump into this race, I'd be pretty happy with at least P12 if I can underestimate myself in that way. As we did see an overtake from Relics on Cragleton, but Cragleton has lost the DRS, so Relics just increasing his time by about 2/10 there. As it's still a very close battle. I mean, it's separated within half a second basically between each driver from position 1 till position 7, as Relics records the fastest per sector. But look at that close racing. You can literally see everybody on one screen, so that's absolutely wonderful. Jox is drifting but keeping the drivers stacked behind him, so that will create a massive gap in the field, as Benji Bucket is under pressure from the co-owner of AR League to lift the standards of the McLaren while he's away, and Benji will be looking to hunt down Zach Zeke and get to the tail of his partner in the form of F1 Pro. So he did lose a bit of time there on the corner exit of the final corner, so definitely not ideal for Benji, but it does look like there's quite a scrap there in the front, as Cragleton did look like he was going for a move there. As I've mentioned, it is quite stacked in the front, which basically means that Benji will have that leniency to still stick to the back of Zach Zeke for those DRS positions. As it's gonna get close here, as you are in the DRS zone at the moment. Will Askew being penalized with a 3-second time penalty, probably for track limit, I believe. So at the current moment, things are not quite going the way of Will, the race winner of Hungary last season, or last race, I beg your pardon. So Cragleton has overtaken Relics, and this proves to be a wonderful battle for the podium positions, as Zach Zeke has now overtaken F1 Pro, and this will leave F1 Pro vulnerable for Benji. He might be under attack here from Benji, his teammate, but it does look like he kept himself in front there. But F1 Pro going off the track there, Thomas overtaking AIM 54 Gaming, so now the hunt starts between these three drivers. I think the focus was on these three drivers to finish in the podium positions, and here they are from 1 to 3. You can definitely have a look at these drivers, because any of these two drivers are worthy of a win here in Australia. As we haven't taken the time here to just take a look at the position changes. So we've got Cragleton, who obviously moved up from P2 to P1, and Relics dropping from P1 to P2. And then we've got Thomas and Zach Zeke both making up 2 positions, F1 Pro dropping from P3 to P7. So he'll be quite disappointed with that, especially after a wonderful qualifying session from the McLaren, as Relics is now looking for the overtake on Cragleton, as these two are basically just exchanging P1 position, like it's like having a teddy bear for like 2 seconds. So we do have Relics and Cragleton battling each other, but I do think if there's quite the tussle between these two. It will open an opportunity for Thomas in the Red Bull to take advantage of these two and possibly overtake them for first position. And we've got a caution here in sector 1. Not quite sure what happened there. It might have been Jocks there as he drops another second and a half behind. As Benji has overtaken F1 Pros. Oh, something happened to F1 Pros. It might have been F1 Pro, but probably a spin. It is his signature to spin himself quite often, so as he tries to keep in front of Will. As we move back to the battle here between Cragleton and Relics, as Cragleton is looking for an opportunity here, as he is in the DRS zone, so he will definitely have a look onto the inside of Relics. Let's take a look here, going into the first corner. Not enough space for Cragleton to make a move, but we do have another DRS zone going down the straight, so Cragleton might be looking for the inside line here, and he backs out, staying behind Relics, as AN54 has also overtaken Thomas. So what a wonderful start so far. That's proper racing. I mean, I can't fault any of these top 6 drivers at the moment. It's like they haven't put a foot wrong, so really my hats off to them. It's been quite impressive to see Benji in P6 at the current moment with 6.97 seconds behind him. So Benji at this current moment does not have any pressure from anybody to move himself up even more onto the leaderboard here, because he does have a stacked driver lineup in front of him. As Relics has got DRS on Cragleton, not looking for the opportunity to overtake there, as Relics receives a 3-second time penalty. So this is where things are gonna get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna start playing with 3-second time penalties. So Cragleton does have the advantage here as Benji overtakes AN54. As Benji moves up into P5, I think Tyler will definitely be having a laugh right now, as his successor is absolutely doing a wonderful job. Tyler might be looking to give F1 Pro a boot and say, listen, I'm my new teammate. So is a story unfolding here like in Formula 1 in real life, where got the likes of like Liam Lawson jumping into a RB and possibly booting out Yuki Tsunoda or Daniel Ricciardo. So just for the laugh of it, Benji's doing absolutely wonderful job, as we've got Zach Zeke here on DRS from Thomas. Thomas is 1.7 seconds behind Relic, so he's got some defending to go, because he will be vulnerable going into the next straight here, which is also a DRS zone, as Zach will be looking to make it a double podium for Mercedes as he moves up, but not quite have the lunge there for overtake. As it is Zach Zeke with the overtake on the RB, but Benji looking also for the opportunity here, and I do think Thomas might have lost DRS now, so Benji going for the attack on the Red Bull, as there's something wrong with the Red Bull driver, quite unlike him to be battling as he is currently. But Benji has a wonderful opportunity now to overtake Thomas here. as we've got F1 Pro with a time penalty. So all these drivers having time penalties. Zach Zeek has moved up into P3 and Cragleton moving down to P2. So this is why I absolutely love commentating in this division. It's always just jam-packed with battles and everything. As we jump on board here with Will in DRS for MJB, looking for the opportunity to overtake, almost clipping the tail there of the Sauber, as he did clip the tail eventually. Luckily not any damage for any of these two drivers, but will be frustrated and will be looking to overtake as soon as humanly possible. Let's quickly take a look here at the stops, as we've got F1 Pro, Dunsby, Boss Membrane and Miles all stopping already in this race, as a clean overtake from the Racing Bull there for P8. So his sight will be on Jocks now in the Haas. So just to give you a look, Jocks is the only driver here on hard tyres at the moment. We've got Relics, Cragleton, Zach, Thomas, Benji, AN54, Will, MJB and Ryan all on medium tyres, as Will is making the pit stop now. So does Will have a trick up his sleeve? As we jump on board here with Cragleton, who is within half a second behind Relics at the current moment. This telemetry open just to have a look at the energy store for Cragleton, as Cragleton might be looking for the outside there, might be going for the switchback, looking for the better exit there out of the chicane. Wonderful exit there from the Mercedes. Might he make the dive here? No, he's gonna play it safe. He's gonna keep his neck out for the next home straight there, as Thomas has overtaken Zach Zeek again, but Thomas has received the time penalty, remember. Cragleton will be leading provisionally as Relics goes into the pits. So basically everybody behind Cragleton has pitted except for Jocks, as he started the race on the hard compound. So it does look like Benji has struggled for some reason. Not quite sure if he is struggling with cold tires or whatever the case may be, but Benji dropping down to 7th position, so he'll be looking to fight himself back. He has been having a wonderful race, as we do have the honor to announce the driver of the day for today's race. So obviously it's a bit early to point out my possible candidates, as Jocks will be taking provisional lead of this race. But to go back to the topic about the driver of the day, that's interesting. Cragleton's pit was incredibly fast. I did not have a look at how fast that was, but Cragleton is in a advantageous position, as he does not have a penalty to his name, as does his partner. Look at the Mercedes, so disciplined. I think you strive to be a Mercedes driver one day. If you look at those two as an example, as Cragleton just receives his time penalty, so time penalties almost throughout the entire grid. So This will keep the race interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Zeek on the tail of the 4 drivers in front of him. 3 drivers, I beg your pardon, as well, receives another 3-second time penalty. And Zach Zeek, yeah, well, Zach Zeek is having a fantastic race in my opinion. It's been very clean, very organized, very conservative, and sometimes you do need that, because you can look at his position there, P6, and no penalties to his name. If he keeps it up like this, he jumps himself into the podium position, as Relics does overtake Jocks there for first position, as Jocks will be under attack from the drivers behind him, who are all on fresh hard tires. Zach Zeek is looking for a gap here, but these 2 drivers in front of them are driving really tight here, and Thomas overtakes Cragleton in the Mercedes. So Thomas on the hunt now for the scalp of Relics. As you remember from the previous race, Relics and Thomas were basically rivals on track. So Thomas will be looking to get that scalp of Relics after he crashed out in Hungary last time out. So Cragleton definitely not backing out, as he does have the advantage of DRS going into the next corner. Will he make the dive forward? No, he won't. Cragleton's been driving extremely neatly, and that might help him win this race, so keeping it neat and tidy. But at this current moment, Zach Zeek is driving absolutely well. He hasn't put a foot wrong, thus the reason for no penalties. But he's been driving absolutely well. So if he can stay in this DRS train of the 3 drivers in front of him, I don't see why he can't get a podium position today, and maybe Cragleton as well, and that will be awesome points for the Mercedes drivers. As Zach Zeek does have DRS on a Thomas that does not have DRS, so he might be looking for the lunge onto the inside, but it's not a possible opportunity, as Thomas has lost out to 5th position, but also said that Jocks was swallowed by these 4 drivers, so it might have been a bit of traffic for Thomas, but Thomas will not let that phase him. Zach Zeek gets DRS onto the Red Bull driver, and Jocks moves himself to the pit lane, as we've got Benji trying to hunt down those drivers that he was once attached to, and his teammate F1 Pro caught up quite well to Benji, so F1 Pro will also be looking to catch his teammate. Will currently in P9, and definitely will be looking to just make up for a poor qualifying session, if I can put it like that. Does look like we've got Nels. He is being overlapped at the moment, so he'll need to look out for the blue flags, as he does receive blue flags, so he does have 2 corners technically to see the position, but he is also in ghost mode, so not really necessary for him to back out in any way. Cragleton now on the hunt for Relics, and then you've got AN54 and Thomas all on his tail, as there might be an opportunity here for AN54, and that is not the case, as AN54 will still receive DRS going into the straight. So will there be an opportunity, as Zach Zeek is also fighting himself tooth to nail. And Ryan has left the session. Not sure if he might have disconnected. Does look like he might be on AI mode at the moment. So just to have a look at the penalties. So we've got 3 seconds for Relics, Cragleton, AN54 and Thomas, and then Benji and F1 Pro. So as things stand, if my calculations are correct, if Zach Z can gain at least 5 tenths on Relics, he might win this race, and that's what makes things interesting. And then you've got Benji on 3 seconds, but F1 Pro on 3 seconds as well. So that will be a battle between the two for position only, unless someone can accumulate another penalty, so then it will obviously be a different case. And then we've got Will and Nels also on penalties at the moment, but it's been an absolutely wonderful look to see how neatly and Zach has been driving and still keeping up with the drivers in front of him. As it does look like Zach Zeek, as things stand, might be in provisional P1, and that will be quite some story. If these 5 drivers stick to each other as is, Zach Zeek might be winning this race, even though he is in P5. As Thomas does look like he might be struggling a bit. Does look like he's going quite slow. But AN54 has overtaken Cragleton, and AN54 is now going for Relics as he slides off the track. I don't know if it's commentator's curse or anything, but basically the same situation, just like in Hungary. You just jump onto the driver when you start getting the feeling of someone being able to win the race. Just like with Thomas last week with Hungary. And then the moment I switch to his point of view, he crashes out of this race. So N54 luckily not out of the race yet. But a crucial mistake there from the RB. And that opens the gate for drivers like F1 Pro and Benji. But Zach Zeek now definitely in provisional P1. So if Zach Zeek can hear me, stay there, brother. We've got P1 in the bag at the moment, so just stay there. If he's not listening in on this stream, be sure to give him the message that he's well on his way to a win here. But Thomas now looking to swallow the Mercedes driver in front of him. Absolutely tired of being sandwiched by the Mercedes driver, so he'll be looking to activate DRS going into the home straight. Zach Zeek also with DRS. As F1 Pro has overtaken Benji for 6th position. So a great tussle there between the two teammates. And Will Askew is still in 9th position. He's got a 6-second time penalty, 6 seconds behind Jocks. So in essence, he will need to gain 12 seconds on Jocks to be able to move up into P8. So it's going to be a difficult task there for Will. I apologize, just had an incredible sneeze attack, but I do see that Thomas has overtaken Cragleton and Zach Zeek now also with a 3-second time penalty. So Zach Zeek was well on the way to win this race, and now he's on even terms with all the drivers around him. So now it's gonna be a battle for position only, and Cragleton will be looking for the overtake on Thomas, but Thomas is well on his way to overtake Relics here, as Relics does look like he might be starting to struggle now. As we've got a caution in sector 2. It doesn't look like anything has happened from this. To my surprise, all 17 drivers that have started the race is currently still in the race. With that being said, just let's take a look at Ryan is still in the race. He's indeed. Benji Bucket will be looking to overtake F1 Pro here now. Benji, if you can hear me, brother, Tyler has got a trophy mount with your name on it if you do not get top 5 today. Just a warning between friend and friend. Trophy mount's gonna hang above the fireplace, out the head of a lion. But in any case, jokes aside, Cragleton here, Thomas, all three battling it out now. Let's see if Thomas goes for the move here on Relics. I think he's gonna keep it conservative as the race is nearing the penultimate stage. So any mistake can cost you dearly, and I'm pretty sure Thomas will not be wanting to make a mistake after his DNF last weekend. Or last week at least. So used to the Formula 1 world that you always think Formula 1 is over the weekend. But a neat and clean overtake there from Thomas, and that maybe opens an opportunity for Cragleton to make a move as well, as Relics just misses the tail of Thomas, and Thomas does have DRS. Cragleton might be looking for the inside here, and he does, and he brakes a bit later and he makes contact. That's absolutely terrible luck there for Cragleton. It did seem like Relics was closing the line a bit too tightly there on Cragleton, maybe leaving him without space, as Cragleton was side by side with him going into the corner. So it was the responsibility of the Aston Martin to leave Cragleton with space. I'm not sure if I'm interpreting the situation correctly, and feel free to correct me, but it does look like Cragleton was pushed a bit too tightly for space there and makes contact with the Mercedes. So I do think it might be a mistake there on Relics' side, but nonetheless it does look like Relics is struggling a bit. Cragleton looking for the move on his teammate Zach, and I think Zach will be gladly taking the position. As Cragleton moves into P3, Relics looking for the opportunity to overtake Thomas. Yeah, and it's gonna be a carbon copy type of situation. And now you ask yourself the question, why Relics has expected Thomas to give him space on the inside, but when he had to give space to Cragleton on the inside, didn't really materialize. So great overtake there from Relics, great side by side driving from the Red Bull, but I think Cragleton will be quite unhappy with his previous incident with Relics, as Relics receives a 3-second time penalty, so in effect falls behind and falls outside of the podium positions. Relics goes off track, and that's a bad mistake from the Aston Martin, and I do think it might be done for tyres. And 54 year F1 Pro has got the opportunity to take P5 here. He's on 3.9 seconds behind AN54, and he's got 3 seconds time penalties less than AN54, so that might be good news there for F1 Pro if he can get himself within that 3-second time barrier. But Cragleton now leads the race of Australia, and Thomas is in second position, and Zach Zeek having a wonderful drive. we are nearing the end of the race, and I do have to announce my candidates for driver of the day. And at this current moment, it's difficult not to put the shout out there for Zach Ziki. I mean, he's been driving so cleanly and neatly, and his side by side driving has been impeccable. And I mean, if he can get a podium out of this race, I almost want to say it's going to be a dead certainty that Zach Zeke will be driver of the day today. Thomas has been having a bit of a scrappy race, trying to fight the car a lot. Still remained really quick throughout, but I mean, didn't look like he came to terms with his car today. But nonetheless, podium position well deserved if things stay as they are. And then another, I almost want to say that's it. Relics has been having a few terrible last few laps, so Relics is gonna have to pull out a house out of the hat here. Did I say house? In case, James Askew getting a 10-second time penalty for getting in the pit lane, but that will be the third final lap of the race. So 3 laps left. We've still got a lot of racing left, as we've got the 2 Mercedes drivers sandwiching the Red Bull driver. Cragleton sliding his car, but they're fighting his car, making sure he stays in front of the Red Bull, as it's incredibly difficult to drive in front here in Australia, because as they drive through the chicane, the straight here, it's a relatively long straight for a DRS zone. Then you need to fight another DRS zone out of the corner exit, and then you need to fight another DRS zone out of the home straight, and then you need to fight another DRS zone after that. So it's incredibly difficult to drive in front here in Australia. I think that might be why Thomas and Zach Zeke are just holding position, waiting for the opportunity to maybe just overtake with the final lap left. As Benji has overtaken F1 Pro, I think Benji also needs a shout for driver of the day. Let's maybe take a look on the position changes. So as you can see, there's Zach Zeke 4 positions up. Definitely a shout for driver of the day. So is Thomas, and then you've got to put Benji out there for driver of the day as well. Benji has also been having a very clean race. When he did pit for his second stint, I didn't quite catch what might have happened there, but it did look like he lost a lot of time. But other than that, I can't fault the McLaren driver. As we are nearing the final lap of this race, as Thomas is now looking to make or break here. He's got 1 lap left to overtake the Mercedes driver and take the win for Australia round 2. So let's see if he gets the job done. We are gonna drive on board here with Zach Zeke so that we can get the action going into the final lap to see if Zach Zeke might be in it to win it. I do think the time penalties has remained the same for these 3 drivers, so definitely gonna scratch that out, get that out of the way so that we can keep our focus on these three drivers as they are nearing the end of this race. It does look like Zach Zeke is losing a bit of time now, as Cragleton tries to remain in front with Thomas fastly approaching him, going on to the outside into the chicane, looking for a good corner exit, and he does get it. Cragleton doesn't have DRS, but he will be fighting with his energy store. Looking for the inside out, maybe. No mistake there from the Red Bull driver, so he does stay in front, but there might be an opportunity going into this final 2 corners, as the Red Bull does make a slight mistake. And here comes Cragleton with the opportunity to overtake the Red Bull, and this is going to be a wonderful end to the race, as Cragleton rounds off a wonderful Australian race in first position. Thomas and Zach Zeke in second and third. What a move from Cragleton to take the race. I think the Mercedes drivers will be very happy with their result, as they take P1 and P3 today. Relics will take P4, AN54 in P5. Got Benji, well done Benji, in P6. And then you've got F1 Pro in P7, but Jox jumps him due to penalties, so Jox moves to P7, F1 Pro in P8. Got MJB here in 9th position, so he finishes in 9th, but it's gonna depend on what Dunsby is gonna do, because there might be penalties involved here. So let's just have a look at Dunsby with P10 as well. Ryanair jumps Dunsby on penalties. Boss Membrane finished the race in P12. Apex Glide in 13. Ellis in 14th. Will ends the race in 15th position. As the driver of the day is Thomas, based on the game. But the announcement will be made in our server about who's gonna take that driver of the day position. I do apologize if you are hearing the mic of Boss Membrane. Gonna quickly rectify that situation. Does not seem like I'm able to do so. But there you have it, everybody. The announcement will be made for driver of the day, but if you do see this, I thank you for joining us in the race today, and the driver of the day will be announced in the server shortly. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.